Our big focus this morning, a sessions court in Gujarat, Surat, is likely to pronounce its order today on Congress leader Rahul Gandhi's plea for a stay on his conviction in a criminal defamation case over his Modi surname remark. A stay order could pave the way for Rahul Gandhi's reinstatement as a member of parliament.
Now remember, the Court of Additional Sessions Judge R.P. Mogera had last Thursday reserved its verdict for April 20th, that is today, on Mr. Gandhi's application for a stay on conviction pending his appeal against a lower court's order sentencing him to 2 years in jail in this particular case. Now, Mr. Gandhi had earlier submitted that the trial court treated him harshly after being overwhelmingly influenced by his status as an MP. I'm joined by my colleague Arvind Gunasekar, who is tracking the details of this story. Arvind, two questions for you. One, of course, will Rahul Gandhi be actually present as far as the Surat court verdict is concerned today? And secondly, what are the possible scenarios? Because remember, last time Rahul Gandhi's lawyer had said that he's been given maximum penalty only because he's an MP, hinting at the fact that the motive ultimately was to disqualify him as a member of parliament. So what are the possible scenarios? How likely is it that Rahul Gandhi could be reinstated as a member of parliament?
Whether the Surat Sessions Court will be pronouncing orders on Rahul Gandhi's interim plea seeking a stay on conviction that was granted by the magistrate court. So today it's just an order on the application that has been moved by Rahul Gandhi, and that's why Rahul Gandhi need not be present in the court. So after hearing the arguments on both the sides, the court has reserved the orders for today, and at around 11 a.m. is what we are being told is that somewhere after around 11 a.m. we'll get to know whether the Surat Sessions Court will grant a stay on the conviction that has been granted by the magistrate court. Earlier, when the court admitted the appeal that has been preferred by Rahul Gandhi, the court simultaneously also suspended the 2-year sentence that was granted to Rahul Gandhi by the magistrate court. But unless until the conviction is stayed, Rahul Gandhi cannot get back his Lok Sabha membership, and that's why his lawyers had moved an application seeking stay on the conviction also, operation of conviction also, and that's why as an interim relief they had sought for this particular order. Today the court will be pronouncing the order. Unless until court grants a stay, Rahul Gandhi cannot get back his Lok Sabha membership, and that's why that seems to be the priority of his legal team. Also, what we are being told is that if at all if the court doesn't grant stay on the conviction, then his legal team is planning to move the Gujarat High Court immediately. We can expect a move by his legal team to Gujarat High Court in a day or two after they get the order copy today. But they are kind of hopeful that this particular conviction or the sentence that has been given to Rahul Gandhi is out of proportion, and that's why they are seeking a stay on the conviction. So we'll get to know somewhere at around 11 a.m.
All right, Arvind, thanks so much for that quick update. As Arvind was pointing out, it is expected that if no relief for Rahul Gandhi, the Congress's legal strategy is that they will be moving the High Court in a day or two.
The other big story we're tracking on NDTV 24/7, the Tamil Nadu police have booked IPS officer Balveer Singh for causing hurt and criminal intimidation for alleged custodial torture.
The police have also transferred the case to the crime branch. The ASP is accused of pulling the teeth of at least 6 men, the 6 accused, besides crushing testicles of a newly married man last month. The suspended officer hasn't responded yet.
But police action, Vedant, comes 3 weeks after survivors shared the torture they allegedly went through. Activists, meanwhile, are worried crucial evidence, including CCTV recordings, would have been lost. Sam Daniel with all the details.
This comes 3 weeks after news emerged about alleged custodial torture by this IPS officer Balveer Singh in the Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu, after which he was first suspended, and then a magisterial inquiry was ordered first, and then a senior bureaucrat Amuda also is now conducting an inquiry in Tirunelveli district. It's based on her interim recommendation that the case has been transferred to the CBCID. The first information report records the kind of torture one particular petitioner had undergone. His name is Subhash, and he says he lost 3 teeth. And this officer allegedly used a cutting blade or calipers to remove the teeth. And in his presence, there was 2 other people who also suffered similar torture. Blood in his complaint, he says, flowed like a stream, and cops remained silent, only aiding the officer, nor did they try to stop. In fact, one cop, he says, even laughed at the act, and they threatened them not to reveal to anyone. They also at some point gave them each 30,000 rupees to keep quiet. If they reveal it outside, they were threatened of death and even a case under Goondas Act being slapped on them. And now activists are worried that, well, it's good that it has been an FIR has been registered, the case has been transferred to CBCID, but 3 weeks have been lost in this process. Initially, they should have filed an FIR immediately, collected crucial evidence in terms of the blood-stain marks in the police stations, in terms of the crucial recording, the CCTV recording at the police station, which all could have been lost, they're worried now. But still, there's only one FIR based on one such complaint has been recorded. There are at least 5 others who have given similar complaints, and the big question is, when would that be done? The larger worry is, of course, how, although action seems to have been taken in this case, is the government trying to shield he being an IPS officer, enjoying the support of the IPS Officers Association, because initially they lost the crucial time when the evidence ought to have been recorded. But people welcome it, saying that the transfer of this case to CBCID in one sense makes it little comfortable for the alleged victims or survivors to actually narrate without any fear. Because if it's done by the regular police in the same hometown, chances are they may be under pressure, they may not be able to reveal all that happened at that point in time.
And now to a story of hope from Jammu and Kashmir. Days after a Class 3 student urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a video message to ensure basic facilities at a school in Katwa district, the Jammu and Kashmir administration has started work to give it a facelift.
In fact, Vedant, Sirat Naz's video appealed to the Prime Minister last week, which was shared widely on social media, prompted Director of School Education in Jammu to visit the government school located in the remote Lohai Malhar block.
And speaking about the dilapidated condition of the school, Naz said that students are forced to sit on the dirty floors, which often stain their uniforms. She also highlighted the bad condition of the toilets, problems of open defecation, and the unfinished construction work of the building.
And taking note of the video clip, the Jammu and Kashmir administration immediately swung into action to give this school a facelift. Let's listen into the reactions.
मैं गवर्नमेंट हाई स्कूल लोहाई में पढ़ती हूँ। मुझे ना आपको एक बात बोलनी है। आप सबकी बात सुनते हो, आप मेरी भी बात सुनो। देखो हमारा फर्श कितना गंदा हो चुका है, हमें यहाँ नीचे बिठाते हैं। प्लीज़ मोदी जी आप अच्छा सा स्कूल बनवा दो ना। देखो यहाँ पे कितनी गंदी फर्श है, हमें नीचे बिठाते हैं। फिर चलो मैं आपको अंदर से दिखाती हूँ। वो वहाँ बाहर हमें हमारी क्लास लगती है। देखो कितना गंदा फर्श है हमारा। अब प्लीज़ आपसे मैं रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि आप ना अच्छा सा आप स्कूल बना दो। देखो कितनी गंदी फर्श है, हमें नीचे बैठना पड़ता है और टाट पे बैठना पड़ता है। हमारी यूनिफॉर्म गंदी हो जाती है। सर हमारा स्कूल भी बहुत टूट गया था। देखो हमारा फर्श भी बहुत टूट गया और सीढ़ियाँ भी बहुत गंदी है, इसलिए हमारा स्कूल टूट गया। इसलिए हमने मोदी जी से रिक्वेस्ट की थी, इसलिए हमारा स्कूल ताकि नया बन सके और ताकि हम अच्छे से पढ़ाई कर सके और हम IAS ऑफिसर बन सके।
डिपार्टमेंट जो है बड़े दूर दराज के इलाकों में काम कर रहे हैं और इससे भी दूर दराज के और जो पिछड़े हुए इलाके हैं वहाँ पे हमारे स्कूल हैं और वहाँ चल भी रहे हैं अच्छे से। और यहाँ पे भी मैं आपको बताऊं कि इस बिल्डिंग के अलावा जिसकी बात बच्ची ने की थी, इसके अलावा भी यहाँ लगभग 1 करोड़ के जो प्रोजेक्ट है इस स्कूल में ऑलरेडी सेंक्शनड है। तो वो काम थोड़े से रुके हुए थे पानी की भरने की वजह से या किसी वजह से, तो वो हमने शुरू करवा दिए हैं। उसमें आर्ट्स एंड क्राफ्ट्स का रूम है, वोकेशनल रूम है, हमारे ICT लैब ऑलरेडी यहाँ चल रही है। तो जो यहाँ पे ये काम था, ये जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर था उसकी वजह से रुक गया था, क्योंकि उसको 91 लाख का काम अलॉट हुआ था। 104 लाख रुपए का काम करने के बाद भी ये बिल्डिंग जो है अधूरी रही। तो किसी कारणवश शायद जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव अप्रूवल है वो उसने नहीं ली थी, या जो कंसर्न हमारे R&B वाले थे उन्होंने नहीं ली थी, तो उस के चक्कर में ये जो है ये काम रुक गया था।
Our colleague Nazir joins us with a quick update. Nazir, this shows us really never to underestimate the power of one. But the school has now gotten a facelift after this little girl's video went viral.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a far-off village in Kutwa district in Jammu region, which has been largely neglected, and this school tells the story. And it took this young girl to make this video and show the pathetic condition of the school, which lacked basic facilities, which lacked even toilets, proper classrooms. And then she made this appeal, and it has an impact, an immediate impact. Director of School Education Jammu visited the area and said the construction will just start. And actually, the school was constructed in 2014 after then Chief Minister Umar Abdullah visited the sanctioned money for it. But because of the delay and cost overrun in 2017, the work was stopped. And since then, these kids, there are more than 200 kids in this particular school, remote village in Kutwa district. So now this video, heartwarming video by this little girl, appealing Prime Minister that you listen to everybody, you will, I am sure you will listen to me as well. And she believed that it is because of that video, and Prime Minister has heard her. And that is why senior officials, Director Education Jammu, visited there, and the facelift has started, the renovation of the school has started. And she made, again, all kids may get now the proper facilities, toilets, proper, furnished in these classrooms, and other facilities, libraries, computers. That is what the education director has promised. So something good has happened because of this very innocent, beautiful appeal made by this young girl. But this also explains, for the last 5 years that there has been direct rule. There's no elected government, so they are now local representatives. So one little girl had to take to social media, make a video about the pathetic condition of a school, but fortunately it has made an impact.
Nasir, as always, thank you so much for joining us with the latest.
And now to the political battleground of Karnataka. With the exit of 3 prominent Lingayat faces, former Chief Minister Jagdish Shettar, former Deputy Chief Minister Lakshman Savadi and Koppal MP Kardi Sangana, all from North Karnataka after being denied tickets by the BJP High Command, has put the BJP in the state in a tight spot. Remember, Lingayat vote bank is something that has been very important for the BJP, and given the fact that this time Mr. Yediyurappa is not contesting, it becomes even more crucial for the BJP to keep the Lingayat vote bank intact.
In fact, Vedant, the BJP leaders are facing an uphill task to ensure they don't lose their traditional vote bank from the Lingayat community, as you mentioned. B.S. Yediyurappa chaired a meet with Basanagowda Yathnal, one of the prominent faces who led the protests for Lingayats demanding reservation. Guess who else was in attendance? The MLA Renuka Charya. Srija joins us with a quick update currently. Srija, damage control by B.S. Yediyurappa after 3 prominent Lingayat faces have left the BJP?
Well, it's a major dent. What we are looking at right now is, MB Patil of the Congress. He has been now tasked with especially a community campaign, and basically with regard to the Lingayat community, which makes up the majority of Karnataka's population, at least about 17 to 18%, which means it can determine the poll outcomes of nearly 90 to 100 of the 224 seats. And more importantly, what we're looking at with the senior Lingayat leaders, of course, Mr. Lakshman Savadi and also Jagdish Shettar, their exit has especially hurt the Lingayat community. It has also dented the BJP's prospects. So now we see that B.S. Yediyurappa, if you see just about 2.5 years ago, the BJP High Command went ahead and unceremoniously removed him from the post of the CM and then gave the post to Basavaraj Bommai. Of course, that was the choice of Mr. Yediyurappa himself. But however, we see that this particular community has been hurt time and again. So right now, what we understand from some of the sources is that within the Congress thinks right now is the time basically to make amends with the community, which in fact back in 1990 we went on to see where the Congress in fact lost its influence over Lingayat. Right now they are trying to make use of that. This is right after Virendra Patil was humiliated and sacked by the party chief Rajiv Gandhi back then. In fact, the last time especially the Congress had their biggest victory to date is, of course, back then in 1989 when it won the biggest majority, which is 178 out of 224 assembly seats. So right now we see that the Congress is trying to make that amends, trying to make use of the Lingayat hold or the command which especially these senior former BJP leaders had, especially in North Karnataka. More importantly, what we understand from the Congress is that with the shift of these BJP leaders has only boosted their prospects in North Karnataka, which means nearly 3 to 4% of the Lingayat votes will be shifted from the BJP. So that is a huge dent for the BJP, because of which we see B.S. Yediyurappa, the Lingayat strongman and the 4-time former Chief Minister of Karnataka, had to call that emergency meet with some of the Lingayat leaders. Of course, Basavana Gowda Patil was also in presence, is what we understand. Renuka MLA Renuka Acharya and B.C. Patil. Some of the Lingayat leaders of various districts were in this particular meeting. And what really was discussed in the meeting chaired by B.S. Yediyurappa was that he has tasked some of these leaders to ensure that the Lingayat vote bank is not broken or is not, it does not really be shared with the Congress. So that is something which they have tasked, especially some of these top leaders.
All right, Srija, thanks so much for that quick update. So the BJP's reach out to the Lingayat community ahead of the polls.
The big focus on day 2 of the Constitution Bench hearing on same-sex marriage. CGI D.Y. Chandrachud countered the government on the argument of adoption, saying existing laws allow a person to adopt even if he or she is in a same-sex relationship.
So the argument that this will create a psychological impact on the child is belied by the fact that today, as the law stands, it's open. The Chief Justice of India also said same-sex marriages cannot be termed urban elitist concepts just because more people from cities are coming out of the closet. The Supreme Court made strong observations, in fact, while hearing the arguments, and today the arguments will continue.
You cannot discriminate against, the state cannot discriminate against an individual on the basis of a characteristic over which the person has no control. And when you say that, this is an innate characteristic, it's also an argument in response to the contention that this is very, elitist, or it's urban, or it has a certain class bias. There's no data coming out by the government to indicate that this is urban or anything like that. Nothing. No data at all.
Wherever husband and wife is used, make it gender neutral by using spouse. Wherever, my lord, man and woman is used, make it gender neutral by saying, my lord, person.
As you've heard, the arguments continue in the Supreme Court, and today Mr. Singhvi will hopefully conclude. And then, of course, there will be Manika Guruswamy and others who will speak. Even Mr. Kripal, who has actually been one of those lawyers who had been elevated to become a High Court judge, finding objections because he's having the same-sex relationship with a person of a foreign origin. And so it's in that context that this debate will continue. It's going to be extremely important how the court views this entire matter, because as you've already seen, there are a great amount of objections from the centre about legalizing same-sex marriages.
With that, we're stepping into a very short break.
On the other side, heat wave continues in many parts of India. India's climate emergency. More details on all of that. Stay with us.
India is witnessing heat waves across states. In the Gangetic West Bengal, actually, we've seen a heat wave since the last 9 days. In Bihar, we're seeing heat wave conditions since the last 6 days, while Odisha has been witnessing extremely high temperatures in the last 3 days.
And UP, Maharashtra, Punjab have also been feeling the heat at a time when several parts of the country are facing severe heat wave. The plains of Kashmir are experiencing heavy rain. The maximum temperature in the plains of Kashmir is hovering around 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. In health resorts like Gulmarg, maximum temperature was 6 degrees Celsius. All right, now Divya is joining us in studio. Divya, take us through when can we expect some respite as far as North India is concerned, the Gangetic Plains particularly, and what is on the cards as far as maximum temperatures are concerned. Some rain also expected?
Well, certainly respite is here, and you can see that there's a stark contrast as far as temperatures and weather is concerned. On one side, you can see snowfall in areas of Gangotri as well as Badrinath, so fresh snowfall seen there, and that's going to have a trickling effect as far as the northern plains are concerned. Hailstorm expected in areas of Uttarakhand and also in areas of Himachal Pradesh. When we talk about the plains, whether it's Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh as well as the national capital, showers are expected even in the western part of Uttar Pradesh, and that respite is coming in today. So the temperature is down. In fact, the temperature that was crossing the 40-degree mark in the national capital is down. If we take into account the temperatures at 38 now, and over the course of the week, we're seeing that the temperature, especially in the national capital, is going to hover between 37 to 36 degrees, which is in fact normal or even 1 degree less than it should be for this time of the year. But let's talk about where it is the hottest at the moment, and that is a strong contrast when we talk about rainfall and snowfall in certain areas, bringing the temperature down to about 6 degrees in Gulmarg, and here you have 44.5 degrees. That's 6 degrees above the mark for this time of the year in Baripada of Odisha. Then Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh also feeling the heat at 44.5. Then we have parts of Madhya Pradesh reeling under the same temperature. Also Naupada, again the temperature is 44.4, but that's pretty normal for this time of the year as far as that particular area in Odisha is concerned. Jamshedpur coming in above 44 degrees. Also, we have many places where the temperature is close on the heels, so whether it's 44 or around that. And of course, it's not just parts of Odisha, central parts of the country also where the temperature has crossed the 42-43 degree mark. Now, when we talk about the northeastern part of the country, there, in fact, the temperature has been reeling under heatwave conditions, especially in parts of Sikkim as well as Sub-Himalayan in West Bengal. Those are areas where heatwave conditions will continue. Now, like you did mention, in Gangetic, West Bengal, heatwave conditions have been prevailing over the last 9 days, in Odisha over the last 3 days, in Uttar Pradesh over the last 2 days. When we talk about temperatures, there is some respite coming in for central parts of the country, especially towards the northern part of the country as well as the eastern part of the country, and that's expected in the next 24 hours. But up until then, not much of a change seen as far as temperatures are concerned. Vedanta information, back to you.
Thank you so much, Divya, for that quick update. Let's also go across to Ratnadeep, who joins us live from Guwahati at the moment. Ratnadeep, it's about 36 degrees in Guwahati this morning. We've been discussing that the northeast is feeling the heat too.
That's right. In fact, for the past 3 to 4 days, Northeast India has seen temperatures between 3 to 5 degrees above normal. In fact, across the Northeast, there are places like in Tripura, schools are shut. In 3 districts of Meghalaya, schools are shut. And in 1 district of Mizoram, school hours have been preponed. Schools are now starting at 6 a.m. and getting wind up by 9 a.m. so that they don't feel the heat. But overall, if you talk about Northeast in the past 24 hours, the temperatures have not gone up. In fact, Met Department have issued an advisory which says that there would be rains, and in fact, overnight there have been light rains as well as thunder showers in parts of Northeast, which has brought respite. Even in Guwahati there were rains, and therefore this morning, as we report, there is a strong breeze which is blowing and which is a respite for the people after temperatures hovered around 38-39 degrees centigrade. But what is important to note is that remote areas in Northeast, and particularly areas closer to the Myanmar border and the border with Bangladesh, have been reporting temperatures between 38 to 39 degrees centigrade. For example, the Moreh town, the border town of Moreh along the Myanmar border in Manipur, had reported 39.5 degree centigrade temperature yesterday. And in fact, in Meghalaya, particularly in Garo Hills region, which is witnessing a sudden rise in temperature for the past couple of days, apart from the heat, people are also facing massive power cuts, which is making life more difficult for people. In fact, in Tripura, which has been the most affected area in Northeast, however, the temperature have receded by about 1.5 degree in the last 24 hours, but still the state government has now put all the health department officials, nurses, doctors on standby and cancelled all their leaves apart from important medical leaves. So because the state has declared heat waves and sunstrokes as state disaster.
Ratnadeep, as always, thank you so much for joining us with the latest update from Guwahati. As Ratnadeep is mentioning, the northeast is feeling the heat too. But in a stark contrast, let's take a look at these visuals coming in from Uttarakhand. Badrinath is witnessing snowfall as the rest of the country is reeling under a heat wave. Especially the north part of the country in central India is feeling the heat, with unusually high temperatures being recorded since the last 7 days.
With that, we'll step into a short break. News and updates continue.